did a story with you guys a couple of
My
years
dear
ago.
friend Colin Kushner, Mr. Boom Sauce himself,
Boom Sauce, salsa picante,
was the first person to tell me about meditation. He was not, however, the person who sold me on the practice. Kristen Goodwillie, Kentucky anchor and reporter extraordinaire, was the one who, many years later, solidified that I could use some Zen and self-love in my life. Both are California natives, and in my head, this out-of-whack, high-strung New Yorker was no match for a balanced lifestyle. I had preconceived and outdated notions of what it meant to meditate or what it could do for my overall mental being. It wasn't until a big family blow-up that I decided to give it a go. Now, a full year later, I'm a firm believer in the power of meditation. As someone who suffers with anxiety, insomnia, overthinking, childhood and adult trauma, I have found meditation helped me unlock, visualize, and heal my past damage. It's been a journey of relearning compassion, forgiveness, and self-love. So it's only natural that along my path, I have met some really cool people who have helped strengthen my practice and show me different ways meditation can be applied to live a more holistic life. Listen, I'm not here to make the skeptics believers, but if you're at the end of your rope hoping for something to tame that wild mind, you'd be surprised what 5 minutes of sitting with your own thoughts can do. Alrighty, everyone. Hello and welcome. Thank you for watching and thank you for listening. This is Paulina Butska. I am your host and you are listening and watching, and that's okay. Today we are joined by the Spirit Doctor. And Spirit Doctor, I don't actually know your name. Let's start with that.
Of course. Well, I go by Starr.
Okay.
My legal name is Starr Hicks-Wilson. And I usually just go by Starr. And now people, since my website, my Instagram, everything is thespiritdoctor.love. That's, people call me Love, people call me the Spirit Doctor, all of that.
Love it. So I like Starr because it's shorter than Spirit Doctor. So I'm going to go with Starr for today for the sake of this podcast and video blog. So thank you and welcome. Thank you for joining us. I initially approached you about this podcast because we met very briefly through social media, of course. You have your own podcast on meditation and everything about well-being, and it just fits so well into the topic of mental health and all the different facets of mental health. And one of the things that spoke to me about your journey and about what you do is this journey of self-love and journey of self and weight loss. It's something that, we're always it's always in the forefront of so many people's minds, just image and what we look like, what we should look like, or these ideas in our head of what we should look like. And you've been on this spiritual journey and kind of merged the two things together, your love of food with your love of meditation and this like spiritual journey. Take us on it. What happened? How did you get there?
So I come from a long line of spiritual women, praying women from all types of religious backgrounds, from Christian beliefs to a lot of African tribal spirituality beliefs. And I was raised that God is omnipotent and God is everywhere. I was taught how to pray and taught how to give thanks and what gratitude meant and all those kinds of things, taught how to meditate, even though I didn't know it was quite called meditation back then. I just knew I was always connected to this bigger source, right? To God, the universe, whoever you want to call him or her, right? That began my journey with meditation. I started teaching and coaching guided meditation. I started doing them at small venues and such. And then I would go in people's homes and I'd do practices with their families, with couples, anything. I just loved all the levels of guided meditation, more so visualization meditation. And as I got more and more into it, then I got into what you probably know. I got into what I like to call affirmational meditation.
I love it.
As well as manifestations, describing things, helping you visualize what you want and, taking you on a journey, because I noticed that a lot of people were having difficulty doing guided meditations because they couldn't concentrate or their mind was all over the place and the calm, soothing music wasn't enough and they just fell asleep. So I wanted to find ways that people can, use it effectively, and it could really be an influence on their life. I go back into being called the spirit doctor. I've always felt and known that spirit comes first, right? We were designed first. The image is one thing, the physical is one thing, but I like to say it's an avatar to who we truly are, like soulfully and spiritually speaking. So it's all connected, right? So as I'm gaining more about my spirituality, understanding more about myself and my identity, I had issues with food, and to this day, I consider, any issues with food, obesity, even people who cannot gain weight, those I feel like they're diseases. And, no matter how much weight I lose, I'm still gonna have that specific disease, but not in a negative, way. I'm gonna be growing from it and learning from it throughout the journey. And so that's when I found plant-based living, eating plant-based, and went back and forth trying to figure out what that looks like. Currently, I am a mostly raw vegan, so I mostly eat raw foods and some cooked foods when I might go out, but not in my household. And that led me to teaching others and writing all these books and recipe books and combining the spirituality piece, because, it's a mindset shift when it comes to weight loss and when it comes to manifesting what you want in your life and going after and taking action. All those things come together. You can't think you're going to manifest all these beautiful things if you're consuming bad foods or you're consuming bad people or, any of that. It's definitely holistic. So I'm still on my journey.
Mind, body, and spirit. It all comes together.
Say it all the time, but it's like, it's really true.
What does it mean though, right? Like that's what we're all trying to come after. We're all trying to figure out, what does that mean?
Exactly. So that's where I am. That's the journey. And, I've healed myself already from major diseases that I've had, that I'm always open to share. And I'm like, if I can do this, I need to tell all the people I know suffering, like, do this. I promise you, it will save your life. You know what I mean? And just make you just vibrant and just live life the way you want to and just feel happy again.
So you were like this twofold character that I really wanted to get to know and I wanted to talk to, because I met you because of the meditation that you had put out. I randomly started meditating because a friend of mine from Kentucky had said to me, Paulina, you need to just find a way to find some inner balance. And I'm like, there is no balance. This head is crazy. Everything going on in there is nuts. There is no way that we can find any even remote way to calm that and start meditating. But I did through InsightTimer. And of course, this is not an ad. I wish it was, but I came across one of your meditations and I was sitting in the dog park of all places. I have this
wonderful
rock.
dog park.
It's great. The sun was beaming down on me. The dog was playing. I was fine. I was sitting on this rock. So I was like, one with the universe. And I put on your manifestation guided meditation. And it was the first time that I had seen my father in 10 years.
Wow.
And it was so I didn't know what to do with that. Like for me, I've spent the last 8 years of my life on the move and going from state to state and really running away from my past and running away from things I've been through. And so here it was like, I have to face it. And this is so recent, right? But on the other end of that, when I learned more about your food journey, I realized how much more of your life spoke to me because of it as well. And then you reached out, of course, the power of social media.
I know. I felt like I should. And I don't do that to everyone that, InsightTimer who sends me the reviews, but I felt like I should, And
it was, again, the universe, divine intervention, whatever you want to call it. I think it all works and plays in one direction to kind of guide people into the circles that you need to be in and talking to the people that you need to be talking to. And your journey of weight loss and kind of getting healthy is something that I've always struggled with. So I've always been, I don't want to say thin. I've never been really thin. I fluctuate, and being on TV, that's not something that you want to do. Right. So it's something that's always been in the forefront. Like I remember in high school, I had this one guy one time, he's like, oh, you've got thunder thighs. Like that thing has stuck with me for years. I am 31 years old almost, and I still think I have thunder thighs. And like, you know what? They ain't going anywhere. I think, that relationship with self and mind, body, and spirit has been something that I've always, I'll get one aspect. So I'll get like the body aspect. So I'll work out really hard and I get that in mind, but my mind is kind of still a mess. The spirit is maybe somewhere in between. So I'm never fully coming into, I guess, one. For anyone listening or anyone watching, why is it so important for all of those things to be in balance? Like, what was it in your life that finally was like, this is what's breaking the camel's back, and I have to bring everything together?
First of all, I'm honored that you had that experience with my meditation. That is exactly why I do what I do. People always ask me what inspires me, and everyone who listens to me and DMs me on Instagram, that's what inspires me and, really keeps me going. Going back to your question,
I threw a lot at you. It's fine.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to recognize that part you said about your dad and everything, that's beautiful. That's exactly why I like to do this. So it's important to keep things balanced because we live in a society that has a lot of distractions, and whether it's distractions that we can control or whether it's ones that we can't control, we're easily influenced. And as spiritual beings first, we are all energetically very sensitive. So one thing happens to us and, how we're just hard on ourselves when things get hard, or, when we're excited for that time, but don't let someone walk in and give you bad news and you're sad again, But when you're up to date on, your meditations, filling your body with water and keeping your body hydrated, with good nutrients and, all of that happening, and you're keeping that positivity going as well as staying inspired every single day. I just recently came up with this thing that I'm starting to tell people is you can't just go to church on Sunday. That's my new thing, right? And that's regardless whether you go to church or not. But the point is, when you leave church, you're like, I'm ready to go. Oh my gosh, I'm positive. I'm feeling good. I'm going to get this done.
But you gotta keep that spirit going.
Yeah, but then Monday comes around and you're like, I don't know, you might have went home and you have a horrible relationship with your spouse, or, or your mother called you because she's having some sickness or something like that. All these other distractions that you still have to deal with, right? So keeping everything balanced, and through that hard time when you're having an argument maybe with your spouse or something, make sure you go have a good meal, full of plants, because you might go have something else and that messes up your hormones, and then you're still pissed at your husband or whoever, it's all.
It just gets worse. It just keeps going downhill.
Yeah, and we have to keep up with it. It's hard. I mean, I just named like 20 things you got to do every day, right? I mean, it's hard, but it's well worth it, because then it gets easier. It's natural to be positive,
It's a daily grind to be positive and stay positive. And going back to, what was it with you that finally started this journey and inspired you? What was that moment in your life where you said, I can keep going down this path, or I can go down this path, and I don't know what this one has in store, but this one may be the better one for me?
I want to say that you're going to get a lot of moments.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's not about just having one moment, because when you hold on to like, oh, this is it, I'm ready, and then you fail, you get upset, you're down, you made a mistake, you cheated or whatever you did, and it's hard to get back up, right? But you're going to have multiple moments. But what's key is that during those moments, you find the lesson, right? Because things repeat in your life until you find the lesson. And that's okay, because that's a part of the journey. So I can't even really say I had one moment, but one thing that I do is when I get up, I make a decision every morning when I get up, whether it's during my meditation, before I start work, before I start my workout, whatever it is, I make it, I sit in myself and within myself, and I'm like, this is who I am today, whatever that may be for you, right? It could be different for everybody, but this is who I am today. This is how I will greet people today. I'm giving gratitude for waking up, and this is how I feel, regardless of what happened the night before. But you stand and you look in the mirror if you want to, whatever you want to do, right? Turn on one of my meditations, doesn't matter. But you make that decision every day, because, it's not a click. people might say, something happened and it changed their life. Sure, you're going to get a lot of changes of your life. That might not necessarily mean you're going to all of a sudden eat better. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to all of a sudden meditate every day, then you miss a day and you feel bad about your life. You know what I mean? It's about accepting every day as a new start, as a new day. Giving thanks for the day and just saying, this is who I am today.
So you had mentioned and kind of like skimmed over it, so I did catch
sorry.
it. You did say that before that you had other health complications. Did that play? Were those kind of those moments in your life that were like, okay, one health complication, maybe a second one, maybe a third one, and you're just kind of rolling through them, and then finally enough red flags or things hit you in the face and you're like, all right, it's time to make a change? I've
struggled with weight all my life, and a lot of things have been done with my body throughout the years, and I only can blame myself. My highest weight, I was 350 pounds was my highest weight, and I was one of those people. I didn't start getting a lot of the issues that people have when they're overweight quite yet. What I did have was sleep apnea. And later on, I basically self-diagnosed myself with endometriosis. And after that played a major role, I'm not sure if you know about endometriosis disease, but once that played a role, and I lost some weight, gained some back. Of course, we know it goes up and down, but I gained a good amount back. And I got a sleep study test again, and they said I still had sleep apnea. And I had this thing with my wife. I was like, because everyone knows you have a CPAP machine you have to wear at night.
Right.
And I was like, this ain't sexy. Like, I don't sleep with this every night. I'm just keeping it real, I'm just being honest. And she doesn't care. She supports me, but I was just like,
but you want to be sexy for you. That's not sexy.
Not with this thing coming out my face. That was a major thing. And the endometriosis is, they compare that to having labor every month. And those were two killers for me. And I was like, I have to change. Like, this has to happen because, I want to be sexy at night. I don't want to be traveling with this carry-on everywhere I go, the CPAP machine. And I wanted to get through the month, having my menstrual cycle without having all these issues that I was having. Those two were very major for me.
So we're not supposed to generally ask how much someone weighs, but you did say at your heaviest, how much have you lost so far, and kind of what has your weight loss journey been like?
In 2011, I actually got gastric bypass surgery, and I'm open about that discussion. And I did lose weight, but then I also gained.
Okay.
Because the surgery does not fix the mind.
No.
It doesn't fix what the real issue is. It'll help you get a little jump start if you stick to it. But most people gain double their weight back. I didn't gain double my weight back, but I gained a lot of it back. And just last summer, I was 270 pounds. And I'm trickling at the 200 mark currently.
Beautiful.
So since then, that's about how much I've lost, just being way more conscious about my eating. I've been plant-based a lot of my life, but that wasn't enough either, because nowadays, you can eat burgers, you can eat French fries, you can eat all those things and still call yourself vegan or plant-based. But now I eat more whole foods and mostly raw. You
did mention one of the things is that, once everything can kind of be in balance, but unless you have your mind in balance, really nothing is in balance. And I'm a type of person who, for the last, I guess 10 years since my dad died, but 8 years that I've been on the move and kind of jumping from, one state to the next, I've been like on the run, right? I'm like, oh, I'm great. I'm doing so well. And, my career is taking off and this is doing great. And I'm getting married and all these things. And then all those things went away. This was never okay. And so when I ended up back in therapy and I'm like, I fucking lost my mind. I don't know what's happening. It's like, well, you never actually dealt with it. Right. Like, and so when I hear you talking about your weight loss journey and kind of the mental switch that has to happen, I understand that because I gained a little weight recently and I'm calling it my happy weight. I'm not at a happy weight, but I'm happier. Right. So it's happy weight. But until I switch this to be like, okay, let's not eat that extra piece of cheesecake tonight. Like I'm just feeding myself junk all the time. And so, but I also know kind of listening to you and kind of my own journey with food and meditation and just my own body, if I keep consuming things that are not actually being, filling me up in the right way, everything is really going out of whack. So this is actually getting worse by me not filling my body the right way. You bring it full circle for us in such a great way that it really all starts with the mind.
It does.
Talk to me about that. Like what was the hardest part of changing the mind about your approach to eating?
The mind is a muscle, right? So we have to work it, and the mind will do whatever you tell it to do. But what the mind also does is it has a Rolodex of all your past trauma and not forgiving yourself and all of these things, or deaths, anything, right? So it pulls from that when you're making decisions about eating or whatever you're making decisions about. And so we have to retrain the mind. And sometimes that requires a lot of repetition. So in my experience, and when I talk to clients of mine, I'm always telling them, if you want to change your diet, whether or not you want to be vegan or not, if you want to change your diet and eat more healthy and whole foods that grow right out the ground and have been put here for us, then you have to go back and really, I'm trying to put this in another kind of light. You have to recognize those things that have happened in the past. And like I said, you repeat things. The more you repeat things, the more the lesson comes. The lesson will just keep coming and coming until like you actually forgive yourself, or you deal with it, or you go to therapy or something like that happens. But the repetition is key. So if you're gonna keep eating, pizza or whatever, cheesecakes, and she said that, eating those things, the more
it's not
you
always
eat them,
cheesecake. Sometimes it's tres leches cake, and it's just as bad.
Tres leches cake. Oh man. Well, if you're gonna consume those, the more you consume them, the more that's all you're gonna want to eat. So if you take time and you're like, I'm gonna eat, whether it's salad, I know salad sounds boring, but not my salads. Salad, if you're gonna eat large amounts of fruit and all of that, then you're gonna start craving those things. Your cravings are gonna change, but you got to give your mind time to accept it, to be fed off of that good energy and those live foods. You know what I mean? And once you have that time and that repetition, then it gets much easier. But usually we don't get to that point. Number one, we're trying to just lose weight. And I always tell people, do not think about just losing weight. All of the diet programs, there's nothing wrong with them. I've done them all, but they all talk about just losing weight, which is what gets people, in there, but it doesn't make the mind shift. It's like, I just want to lose weight, and you'll do anything to lose weight. You'll cut calories. You'll stop eating carbs, which is crazy. You'll do all these things. That's another
I've done it all.
Episode. Yeah,
I've done it all. Like
it's not really,
it doesn't work.
No, it works and makes you lose weight, but you're unhealthy. It's unsustainable. You're supposed to be eating in abundance. I eat more, almost double calories that I did last summer, and I lost weight. It's not about cutting anything or restricting yourself. It's about understanding how the body accepts food, how the brain operates, what kind of nutrients the brain needs to make you have good decisions. And like I said, if you keep eating one thing, if you remember that, keep eating one thing, that's what you'll crave. So if you just give your mind some time and keep it up for a little longer than just a few days.
How much longer are we talking?
I mean, because I get it. Really
listen. So I always fluctuate, right? Because that's the thing. When I have willpower, and there is nothing stopping me. Whether it's a new project, I'm focused. I get it done. I need to lose that 10 pounds. I will lose that 10 pounds. But like you said, it's the sustainability of things, and I think that speaks for everything in life, whether it's food related or, a gym method that you're, going to the gym, or a meditation practice, a spirituality practice, a prayer practice. Everything only works if you do it in repetition, and you do it in a way where you honor yourself, and then you take time for yourself to do
also that. When you're, like you said, meditation, when you start doing one thing that's uplifting you holistically, other things start trickling in. You know how when you start going to the gym, you come home and you don't want to have that, I don't know, sausage, egg, and cheese biscuit. You don't want to eat that. You just came from the gym. You know what I mean? And then, so it starts to trickle in with other aspects of your life that needs, some help, and you're like, oh God, okay, things are coming. So that means I'm doing something good. I'm going to keep this up, So other than the repetition, just start one thing. Like, whether it is not having, I'm gonna keep going back to the cheesecake. I'm sorry. Whether it's not having that one piece of cheesecake or whatever, don't try to do it all at one time, and just focus on, I want to be healthy. I'm not trying to lose all this weight. You're going to lose the weight if you're eating healthy. That's science. Like, if you're eating healthy, you're going to lose weight, period. And drinking a lot of water too.
Oh, the water part. That's the other part that gets me. Yeah. All great things, all really
a whole legal pad
things,
of
all
things.
whole legal pad of things that we need to do. For anyone out there who's listening or anyone who's watching, what are your key steps that you would give them to say, like, here's something that we can start on small, whether it's food related to kind of change your habits, or meditation wise to kind of help you get there? Because you have meditations where how to change your entire perspective and relationship with food as well. Is that correct?
Yes, I need to do some more. People have been wanting more, so I need to do more.
So what are some of those things that you would suggest for people out there listening and watching today?
I would suggest to make a commitment to just start one thing, and I'll go all the way around. So when it comes to food, the first thing I always tell people, two things. The first thing, one thing is to increase your water intake. Water is, even if you have the regular standard American diet, drinking a lot amount of water changes how your body absorbs fat, period. So increase your water. You can look online and see how much water based on your body type you should be drinking a day. I drink about 1 gallon of water a day, and it sounds like a lot, but it goes by pretty fast. Like, I have my water here and I'll just drink 4 of these a day, and it goes by really fast. And people always complain like it makes them pee a lot, but the more you drink more water, the less you're gonna have to pee later. Like, it'll get better. And the second thing I say is a little tip is, when you wake up, between the hours of 6 and about 11 a.m. is when your body's going through its highest level of detox, including from the evening when you were asleep. So you don't want to consume something that's going to dehydrate you, which is going to be like breads or all the things we like in the morning. But if you can start your morning with fruit, that is what I would tell you, whoever's listening. Start your morning with fruit, and don't eat the little cup of fruit that they put on the side of your pancakes at IHOP, but eat in a large amount of fruit until you feel full.
Actual fruit.
Yes, actual fruit, not fruit in a can or with juice in there, nothing like that. And then go about the rest of the meals for the day. Start off with your fruit, get that hydration in. That gets your metabolism going in the morning. So you're not, as soon as you wake up, consuming things that dehydrate your body, because things like caffeinated teas and coffees and, like I said, bread and, even fats, like in the morning, that's giving your body a lot of work during that detox time. And I always tell people, just start the day with fruit. And it changes your perspective throughout the day. Like, I just had all that fruit, and, like, you kind of feel a little different. Do that for 7 days. Yeah. And increase your water.
I love it. Anything else that I have not asked that you think is important, that you think our viewers or listeners can take away from just this journey that they may be taking on meditation? What about meditation? Let's start with that one. Let's go back to that one before we leave and end things. Anyone who's kind of hesitant about meditation. I know that I'm from New York City. We don't meditate. That's not a thing that we do. We kind of yell at taxis and people, and we really don't, but sometimes.
I'm from New Jersey.
So you get it. We don't meditate. That's not a thing that we do here. And more of my friends who do meditate, I'm like, wow, I really like their energy. Like, they're so zen. They still have shit going on, but they seem to have their shit together more. For anyone who's hesitant about meditating, or anyone who's like, oh, okay, you're just sitting there with your mind, what do you say to them?
I say to them, if you don't spend time by yourself or with yourself, how do you know yourself? And who are you, and what are you influenced by? If you're not sitting quiet time with just you can call it what you want, your eyes closed. for those religious folks out there, meditation is not separate from prayer. It's the same thing. In my eyes, it's the same thing. You know, if you're not spending time with yourself, how do you know yourself? How do you know about your feelings? Are you just reacting to the taxi or whoever because you don't have control over your emotions, or don't have control over like how you process things, and everything has to be in a rush or everything, because it doesn't, stay present so that you don't miss anything. Because if you notice some things that are still happening in your life, just like I said earlier, Paulina, that means you have not learned the lesson. So we have to spend quality time, sacred, beautiful time with ourselves. And you don't have to have an altar or have yoga pants on, or, you don't have to do all that. Because I have some people they want to set up this beautiful thing, and that's wonderful, but don't hold off on that just to start a meditation practice, just to start sitting with your lonesome, even if it's just 5 minutes. Meditate throughout the day. You know how I move fast, just like you, got a lot of business going on and all this. And sometimes I'm just like when people tell you to take a deep breath when you're angry, there's a reason. That's prana, that's breath that fills you, that gives your brain oxygen so you can chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Heck yeah.
So that's what I would tell the average New Yorker and whoever else in the country or in the world who's listening to this podcast episode. That's what I would tell you. Do you know yourself? Then why are you upset by me telling you to spend time with yourself?
I love it. And I agree, because like I said, my introduction to you through your meditation was at a dog park, and it does not matter where you are. Yes, I do like to light my candles. And if I'm doing a night moon meditation, I'll do that. I'm very witchy.
I love it.
And I'm just, in my own little zone, in my own little world. But past that, you can do a meditation anywhere. You can do it anywhere at any time, not while driving. That's the only one I would not recommend.
Oh no. Unless you're doing like one of my affirmations.
Oh, that one I do. I do affirmational ones when I drive. So that you can do. But past that, honestly, do them anywhere. And there's so many different apps out there. We met through InsightTimer, but there's so many different apps out there for beginners, for people who have never meditated, people who are interested. And I didn't know that there were so many different forms of meditation. I think that is what was surprising to me when I finally started to do the practice. And there's something out there for everybody, right? Like whether you want to do inner work, whether you want to figure out your food cravings and how to get those under control. I don't know, peace, anger, love, manifestation, everything and anything that you can think of. There's a meditation out there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of manifesting. Yes.
Love it. So am I. Well, Spirit Doctor, Starr, thank you so much. You have been a star today. You've been wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Paulina. You're awesome.
Thank you.